I want to bring in Vladimir Kara-Murza, okay? He's a Russian opposition politician and a journalist who was once imprisoned by Putin. It's good to see you, Vladimir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
So, give me the 30,000 foot first. Do you believe Putin is on the same page with Zelensky and Trump?
Well, look, for once in my life, I actually agree with Vladimir Putin when he said today that if we're talking not about a short-term ceasefire, but about long-term peace in Ukraine, that will require, and I quote, eliminating the root causes of this crisis, end of quote. And that is absolutely right, except, of course, that the root cause of this crisis is Vladimir Putin himself, this old deranged Soviet KGB officer sitting in the Kremlin who dreams about restoring the so-called glory of the Soviet Empire, who calls the dissolution of the Soviet Union the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century, who calls Ukraine an artificial state, who refers to his political opponents as national traitors, who idolizes Joseph Stalin and Yuri Andropov. He's the reason for all of this. He's the aggressor. And we know very well from the modern history of Russia, the last couple of centuries or so, that whenever there's a government in Russia that is repressive internally, that suppresses its own people, that does not respect the rights and freedoms of its own citizens, it is also going to be aggressive externally, because there's no reason for a regime that disregards its own laws and its own constitution to abide by the civilized norms of international behavior. So for as long as Vladimir Putin is in the Kremlin, for as long as this repressive, belligerent, archaic, authoritarian regime remains in power in Russia, there's not going to be peace, not only in Ukraine, but in Europe as a whole. The only way to have lasting peace, stability, and security on the European continent is a democratic Russia.
Well, Trump hasn't said anything like that in terms. We've heard that from American presidents in the past, but Trump seems about as pleasant to Putin as I've seen in our political history. And the question becomes, well, then, what does Putin make of that sense of comfort between the two men? What was your read on the idea of President Trump saying, I'd like to speak to him, as if they're not in current contact?
Well, this is actually the biggest gift that Putin received since this new U.S. administration has come to the White House. What is it, 50 days now? Mm-hmm. Because just recently, Vladimir Putin was a complete international pariah, as he deserves to be. As we remember, last year, the two largest interparliamentary bodies in Europe, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe and the European Parliament, overwhelmingly passed resolutions recognizing Vladimir Putin as a usurper, because this man has stayed in power for 25 years. Russia has a two-term limit on the presidency in our constitution, just like you have in America. This man is in power illegally. He's not a legitimately elected president. I never call him President Putin. He's not a president. He ceased to be president many years ago. He's a dictator, a usurper, and a murderer. And suddenly he's once again welcome on the international stage. Suddenly he's once again, a welcome partner in negotiations. And you have the president of the United States, the leader of the largest and most important democracy in the world, sitting in the Oval Office saying that he would love to speak to Putin and to shake his hand. Vladimir Putin could not have wished for a better gift. I think, every day that this U.S. administration has been in office, they've been opening champagne bottles in the Kremlin. They must have really run out of champagne by now.
And not just because the economy is under such pressure. So Tucker Carlson and a lot of guys on the right have completely flipped the script. And it is Zelensky who's the dictator. And it is Vladimir Putin who is very worried about popularity with his people and very savvy and cautious about his polls, as if he had something to worry about in terms of being voted out, and that this is him just protecting himself against NATO's encroachment that they promised not to do. What do you make of this switch in the Russia narrative among the political right in my country?
There's not a shred of truth in what you just quoted. Well, first of all, obviously, needless to say, Zelensky is not a dictator. He's a democratically elected president, whereas we in Russia have not had a free and fair and competitive and democratic election for 25 years. And this is not my private opinion. This is an official conclusion by observers from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe and the Council of Europe. The last time they assessed a Russian election to be more or less free, fair, and competitive was back in the year 2000. We are now in the year 2025. There have been 5 different presidents in Ukraine at the time that Putin has stayed in power. His two main political opponents, Boris Nemtsov and Alexei Navalny, who could have challenged him for the presidency, are dead because Putin had him killed. We have record numbers of political prisoners in Russia today because every Russian citizen who is speaking out against this criminal war of aggression against Ukraine publicly, is going to prison, just like I was a few months ago. And we have record numbers of political prisoners in Russia today. We have more political prisoners in Russia alone today than we had in the whole of the Soviet Union. That's 15 countries put together back in the mid-1980s.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.